And welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to a new video, and thank you for all your support on the last video. I also want to give a little plug to a video that I did. This will be now 2 videos ago, where I picked up a young gentleman at middle school in my Lamborghini and a Demon 170, both cars side by side, going in to pick him up from school. It was epic. It was an awesome video, but just didn't get traction. And while I take some heat for talking about so much negative stuff against the dealers and manufacturers and the ripoffs and all the things out there, that when somebody says, why don't you do videos about something different? I'm like, well, I do. But then it only gets 4,000 views. And I want to thank everybody who did watch that video when we picked up William from middle school. And, you loved the video. You loved it. It made you feel good. It made me feel good to do it. And it was a great video. And things like that help perpetuate more good behavior in the universe. So good videos, positive videos will certainly help snowball more people doing videos like that and doing kindnesses with others. So while I would love to see it just go totally viral and everybody with a cool car, bring these awesome gas-powered beasts to the youngsters so that they can fall in love with them just like we did and fight the EV baloney. I wasn't even planning to go down that road, but it's a great road to go down. So check that out. I will put the video link in the description, but just go to my channel and go down a couple videos and you cannot miss it. Demon 170, Lamborghini, picking him up in middle school, revving like crazy. It was freaking awesome. Anyways, today's video is just I don't want to call it a follow-up. I want to call it a reinforcement of everything I've been saying. And while some people have given, us YouTubers a little bit of crap for beating up on the dealers and not being fans of the markups and the exorbitant price hikes that the manufacturer has done over the years, I got to double down and just say my issue, like I said in my last video, is less about the act of doing a markup or a company raising the price on their car. Certainly, nobody likes that stuff. I mean, nobody wants to pay too much or more for something. My issue has always been about the shadiness, the shady tactics, the lying, the cheating, the thieving, the stealing, the manipulation, the fraud, the deception, all that stuff that I don't like. The lying about the future value of cars. I'm not allowed to do that in my business. We can certainly talk about examples over time in history where maybe things have appreciated, but to start telling people that they should buy this car because it's going to go up in value, and by the way, it's going to hold its value, only to charge them, 100,000 over, 50,000 over. My biggest issue is that these people didn't realize that the car salesman probably believed this because he was told it by somebody in a position of authority. But what's happening when you were paying markups, when these people were paying markups, and the fact that they're really mad right now at the YouTubers and, frankly, everybody about their cars not being worth what they thought they would be worth by now, is the point they're missing is they simply paid the appreciation up front. Any potential or possible appreciation that could have happened, they paid it up front to the dealership. They let the dealer have it early. So let's say 20 years from now, a Demon 170 is worth double. They charged them that today. They took that profit from you. You hold it for 20 years, and if it doubles, you someday get back to even, assuming inflation doesn't screw that up or many other things and factors in the finance world. But that's the issue, not to mention the interest rate, the finance charges, everything else you're paying on top of that. Taxes, blah, blah, blah. It's an issue. So, that's the biggest point I've been trying to make is the lying, the cheating, the thieving, the slipperiness, the shadiness. It's frustrating. And before I jump into something that's going to shock you all, I will also just say, look, if you are working at a dealership where doing unethical things is not only allowed and it's condoned and encouraged and supported by leadership, I need you. If you're a young man sitting in a dealership right now trying to figure out your life and where you're going to go, I want you to go look in the mirror and ask yourself straight up, is this who I am? Is this who I was raised to be? If this was my grandmother, would I be okay with the dealer doing this to them? If this was my mother, if this was my sister, this was my brother, this was my best friend, would I be okay with that? And if your answer is yes, absolutely, because I got to get my money, then you deserve every one of these videos. But if you're just a little misled and you're getting dragged down a path of everybody does it philosophy from your leadership, I'll tell you the biggest damage that's happening isn't just what you're doing to the customers or your own personal reputation in the industry you're in, but it's the extreme and deep change that's happening in you. That's happening in you as a human being, that long after you leave the car industry, you will be scarred by all this behavior. When I say scarred, you won't feel it, but everybody else who comes in contact with you will, because you'll be willing to do horribly unethical things to get your money. So just know, if you think you can resist it and you can survive in that business, doing shady things, lying, cheating, doing customers wrong, misleading, and 5 years from now, after doing that every day and being around people who make that the norm, that you're going to be able to shift from that industry to another industry, I'll tell you right now, you won't be able to, because you won't last long anywhere else with that behavior. Almost any other industry out there, doesn't matter what it is, regardless of reputation or belief systems, don't allow this kind of stuff. Frankly, in some businesses, you'd go to jail if you did some of the things that we're going to talk about today. But in your industry, it becomes normal, it becomes accepted. And you go home at night thinking nothing's wrong with what you're doing. Until one day you leave and you go try to get another job. And that job demands ethics, demands integrity, demands responsibility, demands customer service, demands customer focus and customer caring. And you don't have any of the skills to deliver that. And your default is always to, well, let's figure out a slick way around to do somebody dirty. And you can't help it because you spent 5 years getting conditioned to be that person. And now you're damaged for life. And until somebody or you fail enough or somebody gets a hold of you and helps you overcome that, you will continue with failure after failure after failure. And I'll tell you, I've had this argument. There was a guy on Instagram fighting with me earlier last month who works at a local Dodge dealership who was actually ascended to the position of GM. And the guy couldn't have been more slimy with the things he was saying. He was downright nasty, vulgar, offensive. And then his buddy jumped in, who looked straight out of the Gambino crime family in his profile picture and decided to jump in and start banging on my head as well, calling me names, telling me I'm an idiot, all this other stuff. And what's crazy is these people were both general managers in leadership at these dealerships, and that's how they behaved. If I behaved that way in any job I've ever had, I'd have been fired instantly. But in that industry, it's okay. Not only is it okay, it's encouraged. When the dealer, I'm not going to bring up because they said they straightened things out, but their response in a Instagram feed from their business page to a customer who was complaining about markups and ridiculous pricing, and their response was to STFU, shut the F up, and nobody got fired. At least I didn't hear if anybody got fired. Maybe they did, but it wasn't talked about. It was just kind of swept under the rug. When I went and met with the sales manager, just didn't really want to address it. Now, if it was my business, one of my employees, I would not only make a statement, but couldn't have been more clear that that person's no longer here. But in that industry, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal in business. So with that, I'm going to jump right into the video content now that explains why I feel like this kind of behavior somewhere in someone's soul should just stop them from doing this. Like, this is wrong. I shouldn't do this. My mother and father taught me better. This isn't ethical. This might come back and bite me later on. The money's not worth it. But they did it anyways. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to show you what happened in this short story where a gentleman ordered a Demon 170. When he ordered the 170, this is the story that took place with his dealership. Now, I have completely blacked out everything I can to give this guy anonymity and not expose the dealership for a couple reasons. One, Butter and TK, they may choose to go down that road. I was given this information by Butter, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let him do it because it's his story, but I want to get the point across. Also, this has been forwarded and is in the hands of a lawyer and has been, which Butter the Insider did, has been sent to Dodge Corporate, the manufacturer, with all supporting documentation that I'm going to show you now for that to be handled. To be handled, let's say behind the scenes, and maybe someone will lose their job, maybe someone will have to answer for this, and maybe the state tax authority will come in and slap handcuffs on somebody because this is really egregious. Comes down to, it's tantamount to tax evasion. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at this stuff. This is pretty crazy. And I know we knew this was happening, but man. All right, so we all remember when the Demon 170 orders were open, and Tim Kuniskis said, hey, to keep dealers from being shady and charging markups, we're going to prioritize cars that were sold and ordered at MSRP, meaning and intending that that car would be sold at MSRP, and regardless of when it arrived, that price would be honored. Not changed, not manipulated, nothing else added on. Well, we know that dealers started adding on $50,000 lug nuts and, $10,000, nitrogen air and tires and, $20,000 of window tint and accessories. We knew that was happening. Or buy another car, or buy 2 scat packs and I'll give you a Demon 170. We knew all those crazy things were happening. Yet people were signing these documents. Well, here we've got one where it was actually signed. And I just went in forward down. You remember this disclosure? When you buy a Demon 170, they had to sign this, which basically says a whole bunch of things about this, how this car can kill you. So after they sign this, after they come to the bottom, Dodge added in number 18. The undersigned customer voluntarily acknowledges with respect to the vehicle's MSRP as followed. Yes, the purchase price of the vehicle is at or below MSRP, thereby qualifying this vehicle order for priority scheduling. Or they can check an initial, no, the purchase price of this vehicle is not at or below MSRP, and I acknowledge that this vehicle order does not qualify for priority scheduling. So in this case, they had this gentleman sign this. Now, I'm not going to blame this buyer, but some of you will, for going along with this. But the buyer, just like any of you, would want to get your car sooner and not take a chance that your car doesn't get built, which is a real fear that we all had. And when you come down here, yes, it was acknowledged, it was signed, the dealership general manager of the auto group signed it, and the notary public notarized it. Now, somebody's going to say, well, that notary's liable. No, notaries notarize who is signing, who is present in front of them signing whatever document. They're not there to review the legitimacy of the document. They're there to say, yes, John Smith is here. It is really him. I took a fingerprint, checked his ID, and I'm willing to say, under the penalty of perjury, this person is who signed this document. So that's that. So they agreed to this, which was all fine and dandy. But as the car arrived, this email comes over to the buyer. And I blacked out a bunch of this stuff, but I'll put this up here. And I'm going to open this up even more so we can blow it up. So to the buyer, please find attached your final numbers. The worksheet does not include sales tax nor registration fees to the state of Rhode Island. You will pay that at the DMV when you go to register. I only added $35 for your in-transit plate. Please note that even though the MSRP on the window sticker is showing $131,941, you do have price protection. And your selling price is $119,941 plus agreed upon for markup. Markup? Didn't you just sign this thing saying there is no markup? Okay. Please subtract the $5,000 deposit given at the time we ordered your car, and the balance due is $164,976. You can kindly transfer the funds directly to your bank account. And they gave the information, and the man's signature line of the auto group is here. This was from them to the buyer. Of course, the purchase agreement gets done. And the purchase agreement, this is where things really get shady. The purchase agreement is done at $119,941, which is the MSRP, the price protected MSRP. What a kind thing for them to do. So, sticking to the price protection, $119,941, and nothing else added in, all the way down, nothing added in, no markup. You see nothing on this purchase agreement. This is what's kind of insane when you think about it, is they did the purchase agreement at the $119,000, and then we've got additional proof, which all this was sent to Dodge to prove that the money was actually paid. So here's the guy's wire transfer of $164,941 for the purchase of a Demon 170. That money was sent. All these dates align, and this guy paid $164,941 despite saying, and the dealer saying, that he bought it for MSRP. Now, of course, once again, he went along with it, but he went along with it understanding that that was how he was going to get the car and not lose the car. So call it coercion. I don't know what you want to call it, but I can count 50,000 reasons why. Now, somebody's going to say, but Brad, 50,000 over was a great deal. I would have done that. Yeah, probably. Who knows? I'm not judging any of you. 50,000. You think 50,000 over is a good deal? I don't think it was, but I mean, 50,000 over is a good deal. It's better than 100,000 over, and a lot of people paid that. I know people that paid that. So he paid 50,000 over. So he wants that deal because he knows they're 100,000 over at a lot of places. So he's going to go along with anything. If they told him to dress up in a tutu and dance around like, in a dog suit, I mean, this guy would have done it. I mean, many of you would have to get that car to avoid the $100,000 markup. So I'm not judging him. But then where things really get, in my opinion, horribly shady is here. And this is on top of just lying to Dodge and swiping that 50 grand outside of the contract, not disclosing that 50 grand in the contract, no other documentation about that 50 grand. That means that 50 grand went into someone's pocket or whatever, go into the dealership. But it doesn't get recorded on the sale, the purchase agreement. And so I'm guessing the bank doesn't know that there was a $50,000 markup. Well, looks like he was paying cash, so forget about the bank. But doesn't look like anybody else knows. And they decided to go ahead and send and pay taxes on $119,941. So that's $8,395. Well, here's the deal. My understanding is if you paid a $50,000 markup, your purchase price for that car was $50,000 over this, which would have been, what, $169,941. Shouldn't taxes be paid on the actual purchase price of the car, all in? Or when this dealer gets that 50 grand, are they not going to report that as income either? And now, is there some income tax or some corporate income tax of evasion taking place here? I mean, listen, I'm just here to ask the questions, and you all can comment below and let me know what you think about this, because in the end, folks, this looks horrible. And this is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is the shady behavior that I'm talking about. This is stuff people need to consciously go out of their way and do all this work to circumvent the rules, to lie to Dodge, to lie to the tax authority, to lie to the IRS, to lie to the customer, to play all of these games just to sell a damn car, I have no issue. They want to sell that car for 50 over? Cool. Be honest. Don't bump someone else's actual MSRP allocation by putting this one in, which is not MSRP, and now someone else's car gets pushed back, or someone else's car with a markup who was honest about it gets pushed back, or maybe they don't get their car because they were honest, so this person lies and gets their car, and the dealership gets their sale. But as a customer, we're stuck playing the game, doing the dance the dealers ask us to do. So I don't hold this guy, this buyer responsible at all, and here's why. He's blowing the whistle. He's taking this thing all the way. He got this information over to Butter. Butter's getting it to everybody who needs to get it. The attorneys, as well as the manufacturer. So this buyer's saying, nope, I did the dance to get what I needed to get because you were twisting my arms both at the same time backwards. But now I'm going to expose you and I'm going to turn you in. And who knows? I bet you this guy could easily get his $50,000 back at the very minimum. Maybe even rain down some IRS auditors and state tax auditors onto this dealership to find out, where did the $50,000 go? Who got that $50,000? Why isn't it on the purchase contract? Why isn't it disclosed as part of the purchase price to the state tax authority? I mean, I think they're good questions. What do you all think? Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.